going on, boxing fans? It's Julian Williams with The Distance. I got another fancy matchup for you. This one's Jack Johnson versus Muhammad Ali for the Tommy Gunn. 7-1-1-1. This is kind of a generational matchup. You got the first ever black heavyweight champion, and you have Muhammad Ali, and both of them pretty much did a very good job of transcending the sport. Except Jack Johnson didn't really transcend the sport the same way that the African American champ after him, Joe Louis, was able to transcend the sport. And then after Joe Louis, there was Muhammad Ali, who was able to transcend the sport as well. But overall, both fighters did a very good job of transcending the sport. And really, this is kind of, like I said, this is another generational matchup to where you really don't know who will win the fight, because there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. One, what size ring? Two, what size gloves? And three, which generation would it be in between? The 1920s and the 1960s. Like say go in between 1940. Put both styles together. If Jack Johnson fought in 1940 against, say, a Joe Louis, or maybe the late 30s against Max Baer, whoever, with that style that he had, he'd probably get eaten up with jabs. I'm not thinking right now. I said Max Baer against Gene Tunney. He'd probably get eaten up with jabs and outboxed, basically, because the style changed after the Johnson era. Because in the Johnson era, you notice that the hands were still a bit low from like the John L. Sullivan era of boxing. Because remember when John L. Sullivan was fighting, was a bare knuckle boxer. John L. Sullivan kind of had his fist, like this. One fist high, the other fist was low, like kind of right at the hip. And Jack Johnson, it was a little bit higher. He didn't really swing from the hip like what the bare knuckle boxers did, but his hands were a little bit higher, and he did move his hands a little bit more. So really, and then with Muhammad Ali, during his time, it was more boxing, because you had Sugar Ray Robinson and other fighters who did a good job of moving on their toes. And really, with all that, I'm getting a phone call here, but really with all that, it's just trouble kind of comparing these eras together, putting two and two together. But in a fight like this, say you go in between, will Muhammad Ali be fighting the way that he did before Sugar Ray Robinson? Sugar Ray Robinson was the man that kind of influenced him. And other than that, Ali did kind of come up with that style of hit and not be hit. Though Sugar Ray Robinson was kind of a hit and not be hit, he still got hit. He still, had punches, get to him. But, Ali just didn't get hit. And Jack Johnson had a style where his hands were low, and at the same time, in Jack Johnson's era, there wasn't a heavyweight with as good hand speed as Ali, or danced around and moved around as fast as Ali did. So really, that's kind of the trouble with the comparison of the eras, because Jack Johnson fought different competition than Muhammad Ali did, and both of them actually did fight in some very good eras as well, some good early eras. But Jack Johnson did have power in both hands. He did know how to move forward. He did know how to cut off the ring. He knew how to fight on the inside, and sometimes sometimes he was able to get that, he was able to impose his will on the inside. And Muhammad Ali was an outside fighter. He threw his, he used the left jab quite a bit, and the left jab, like I mentioned in the Tyson video, was used for many different things. And he was a master at using that left jab. It wasn't necessarily a stiff jab, but he would flicker it out, and he would flicker it out, and it would land. So really, with this fight, I would say a draw. I'd make this a draw again, because if this fight was say Ali was in Jack Johnson's era, I think that Jack Johnson would beat Ali if the fight was, because of the styles of how they fought. Even though Ali had a very good chin, I just think that in Jack Johnson's era, Jack Johnson would beat Muhammad Ali. And in Muhammad Ali's era, definitely Muhammad Ali, because there was no fighter who was fighting with the hands down at that time, or whatever, because let's face it, the fighters, from the bare knuckle era all the way to the Jag Johnson, Jack Dempsey, Gene Tunney, Max Schmeling, Joe Louis era, notice that there's a lot of changes in there in the technique throughout those years, just because we had these men before. So if Jack Johnson was in Ali's era, Jack Johnson would get eaten alive. But if Ali was in Jack Johnson's era, Muhammad Ali would get eaten alive. So I'd make this a draw. But anyway, that was the distance. Thanks for watching. Peace.